That's good.
Welcome everyone to Season 3, Episode 78 of the Premier Pod. I'm your host, Yash Bika, joined by my co-host, Tyler Chan. Obviously, in this episode, we are recording it on the day Liverpool have officially clinched the Premier League title. We had a game plan and outline ready for you guys for some other topics. However, all of that has been thrown into the trash can because literally Liverpool have won the first Premier League title in their club history. I mean, that's crazy. Tyler, we need to hear your reaction.
I'm so hyped. I just had to jump straight in. It was an incredible moment to really live through because it was just raw.
30 years.
I know, 30. I mean, obviously I'm not 30. I'm like 23, but it's pretty close. But it was a pretty surreal moment because it just kind of popped up. Like no one was really thinking about it. Like literally just like a few days ago until now. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's happening. Today's the day. Today it's happening. Y'all, it's go time. So like literally yesterday, Liverpool played Crystal Palace and won 4-0. And everything was set. Everything was set for this Chelsea versus Man City game today, where if Man City doesn't get the win, then Liverpool clinched the title. So everyone kind of marked their calendars, that were Liverpool fans at least, for this occasion at least Eastern Standard Time. It was going to be 3:15. So I had a meeting during the first half of the game. So I had the game low key on the side during this meeting. But, there are certain times once Pulisic scored the first opening goal for Chelsea to put Chelsea ahead, I was going off, but I couldn't really go too crazy. And then during the second half, I didn't really have any meetings, but I was just laser focused into this game, and I kind of just stopped everything I was doing. I was just like, all right, this is a big moment. And it was a great game too. It's basically it was 1-1. De Bruyne got the equalizer with a good free kick, and then second goal came through after Fernandinho like volleyball uppercutted the ball.
Dude, something about South Americans and using their hands for outfield players using their hands for suspicious reasoning.
Yeah,
something about them.
I mean, it was a little sly, but I mean, VAR caught that, and then Willian slotted away the penalty. Who would have thought Willian would be the one who would give Liverpool the title win? But after that 6 minute of added time too for the VAR like check and everything, and all the added time for that, it was kind of crazy. That was also like the 96th minute that it led Liverpool to finally winning the title. But after that final whistle blew, everyone just went off. You just go on Twitter, everyone was just ecstatic, and all the Man U fans I saw, like Yash, was just like, oh no. And then we have like a whole group chat with our friends, and then our Man U fans just left just left the chat. It's like, all right, nah, we can't be here for this. But it was a big occasion. A lot of my friends that aren't Liverpool fans even just gave me a text, congratulated the team for everything. And also it's like, all right, it's time. It's like, it's like, what are you going to do? It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, you're no longer a walking meme anymore.
Yeah, and I don't really even know how to react or, feel about this, because it's surreal. It's literally the first time in at least my lifetime that I get to say, hey, Liverpool were the best team in the Premier League. This is the first time they won the Premier League in the Premier League era. And the first time they won the top division trophy or league title in 30 years. So it was a very emotional moment for everyone. I'm pretty sure across the globe. It's a little sad that we can't be out there celebrating together all as like a team or as like a crowd and like a fan base. But I saw everyone just went to social media and just went there, and everyone's just going off. It was crazy. And I had friends telling me, he's like, all right, now you can like, as I said, it's like, I didn't really know how to react. And they're like, well, if I were you, I'd be the most arrogant title winner ever. Like our good friend Cho, who was on the podcast not too long ago, he He was telling me, he's like, once Arsenal wins the title, I'm telling you, I'm going to be going off. I'm going to be the most arrogant fan ever. And it's like, that now is your time to do that. I guess so. But it's it's just a lot of things to take in at once on just like a random Thursday.
I know,
in the middle of the summer. Like, who would have thought?
Oddly enough, it's the day we record. I swear, every time we record a podcast, some big news happens in the Premier League. It used to be somebody was getting sacked. Now people are winning titles on the day we record. So Thursday is always a good omen, if I would say, if you were Premier League, if you're the Premier League as a whole. But this is crazy because. But this is crazy because next week they have to play City, but City actually have to do a guard of honor for Liverpool, which is crazy because I would say Liverpool lost the title last season against that one of the best games I've ever seen, one of the best Premier League games I've ever seen live against City in the Etihad last season. Around, I think, January it was. Mm-hmm. And that was the game that kind of lost Liverpool the title because they kind of lost the momentum, and City basically went on a big run to regain the points and, get the first place title and finish in the first place. But it's going to be weird seeing City give the guard of honor. I know it's going to be bittersweet for Liverpool fans because it's kind of a haha, like rub you in the face type of moment because you guys have been pushing City for 2 seasons now, and finally you overcome them. And you guys have done it in the Champions League, and now you finally did in the Premier League. But Raheem Sterling, a former Liverpool player that jumped boat to Manchester City to essentially, I would say, obviously he was getting paid bigger money, but obviously to win titles at City, he's won them there. But that must be nice as a Liverpool fan to kind of not rub it in his face, but just show that, hey, if you would have stuck with the plan, this could have been you. We're doing it for your boyhood club.
I will have to say Sterling did get those few titles in the meanwhile while at City, but I don't know if it would be as sweet as the feeling you would get being at Liverpool now winning it. Mm-hmm. But even then, I don't even know if Sterling being on the team would even have led to this kind of thing. It's kind of like the butterfly effect where it's all these little things had to go
like Coutinho leaving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Coutinho leaving, Sterling, like Suarez, everything. And then not even regarding Liverpool, but just other teams too, where Chelsea, they had to, like another listener, Sung Min, he sent me a text saying, is like, man, if Chelsea didn't get rid of David Luiz, they Man City could have gotten 2 free goals if he was playing this game.
Oh my goodness, yeah. And if like Sarri was still manager, who would have known? Like it could have been just a stalemate, So mm-hmm. it definitely is a butterfly effect. And I think for Liverpool, it's kind of crazy because that season after they thought they were going to win it with Brendan Rodgers, they sold Suarez to Barcelona. It was basically Coutinho and Sterling on that team. I mean, you had other guys, but I mean, you just had like Sacco, Skirtle. I think Lovren was on the team. Lallana was there. I know Lallana's still on the team, but you had Ricky Lambert and Daniel Sturridge was off and on again with injuries, and it just didn't look like Liverpool were really gonna. You couldn't really envision Liverpool winning a title, even winning a Champions League title in 5 or 6 years. But man, Brendan Rodgers leaves the club. Jurgen Klopp. There's actually a quote from Klopp when he took over as manager. He basically said in 2015 that, hey, in 4 years, I guarantee you we're going to win at least one title. Like I can tell you that. And wow, he's literally won the UEFA Super Cup, the UEFA. What is it? Is it called the World Cup?
FIFA Club World Cup?
Yeah, FIFA Club World Cup, the Champions League, and the Premier League now. And he's been to the EFL Cup final, lost that. He's been to another Champions League final, lost that. But my goodness, he's transformed Liverpool into a powerhouse in 5 seasons. What is it? Like 5 or 4 seasons now. Mm-hmm. And I just remember, in that 2016-17 season, his first full summer, I mean, we did a throwback pod about that opening game against Arsenal, but the players he continuously brought in every summer. I mean, we're talking like Mane, Chamberlain, Salah, Fabinho, Robertson. I mean, the list goes on. And then Van Dijk in the winter transfer window. I mean, it was amazing seeing, even as a United fan, I can admire the transfer strategy and the quality of players they just kept bringing into the squad each and every year. It was fascinating to see.
Mm-hmm. And this is a team that started, with Klopp like cheering on the cop end when they got a 2-2 draw against West Brom, and just one of those key moments that just kind of popped up today is like we went from that to literally now winning the Premier League. It's so
comeback against Barcelona.
It's insane. It's even insane that I'm still saying it. I'm just like speechless at this point. After seeing Liverpool win that title today, I've literally just sat in my chair for just like 2 hours, just like I don't know what to do. It's just like what do I do? What do I do? It's just this a surreal moment to just soak in and just kind of just take everything in, just look at everything going on. And like I was watching the interview with Jurgen Klopp on NBC as well to see how his reaction is, and also with the players. And he was just gone. He was
crying, man.
He was crying. And Kenny Dalglish, he kind of just was comforting him and was like, "Hey, man, it's like although you weren't like Jurgen Klopp was saying, like I wasn't born in Liverpool or anything like that, but then like Dalglish was saying is like you're pretty scouts to me, man." Wow. So that was a big moment, and I was like, holy cow.
That's wild.
Yeah, this is so much happening, just everything, all these emotions from all these people just coming through at once at a time like this, and also just like having this be such a big moment in just sports history too. Like after like seeing like a little montage pop up where it's like this is the equivalent of seeing like the Cavs win the NBA championship, seeing I'm just like blanking, like the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, or like
just those long droughts.
Yeah, and like the Chicago Cubs win the World Series. It's just this is one of those long droughts that finally is coming to an end, and it's something I keep telling people. It's like, man, I just want to see Liverpool win one of each trophy in my lifetime. And now
getting closer.
Yeah,
now you got what, an FA Cup and EFL Cup now?
They won the EFL Cup or like what the equivalent of it, the Carling Cup in 2012, 2013, around there.
Oh, okay.
And then they won the FA Cup in 2006. But I mean, even then, now I'm like, well, I guess it's done. I mean, they didn't win the Europa League yet, but I'm just like, Champions League. It's like, let's be real. But right now, I'm like thinking, I'm like, all right, now I can just like, I can rest in peace, man. I can die. I've seen it all now. I mean, if anything, now the only thing left on the bucket list is just to go see them in person. But to see them also win the trophies now, it's like a lot lifted off. And now, Yash, I don't know how you feel as a United fan, but this is going to be a big time for Liverpool fans to at least finally have some spotlight into some gloating time.
Some banter.
The banter time, dude.
Yeah, it's as a United fan, it's definitely a little disheartening, a little sad. I posted a meme on the Premier Pod Twitter page about the just Spider-Man, a lonely Spider-Man walking through a bunch of crowd of destruction, and I just said that's currently the mood of all United fans, and I think it is. So. I think obviously United and Liverpool are bitter rivals, and it's a little complicated because like, if there was a team to win it this year over City and Liverpool, I'd prefer. I would just say this is my preference. I prefer Liverpool win it over City, just because just looking at it objectively, like I said before, I preferred the way they did it. They did it more organically in terms of slowly bringing in players, and when they brought in players, it was not they were exactly world class from the get go. Sure, you had Salah, Fabinho, Alisson, and Van Dijk were great from the get-go, but players like Mane had to improve their game. Robertson had to grow into his mold. Trent Alexander-Arnold was an academy product. You had Jordan Henderson, who slowly started to grow more and more as a player under Klopp. I mean, Firmino started to become who he truly was, as this playmaker, false number 9 that can kind of do it all. These players that grew into their roles, and it wasn't like City where you just bought a Sergio Aguero, Kevin De Bruyne, a Emerick Laporte, all these big flashy name player guys, and just stuck them into a team. And of course they were going to win because they were already world class. But I really did enjoy seeing the growth of Liverpool. And honestly, as a United fan, it did scare me. Even when we had our best season under Jose, 2 seasons ago when they finished in second place, I was honestly pretty scared, and I was kind of jealous of the growth Liverpool were doing because, I mean, I could honestly tell you that, yeah, they were going to surpass United because the way United were going, it was not sustainable because Jose was already creating arguments. The football wasn't very fun to watch. It was kind of boring. He was, picking fights with players. A lot of players weren't growing under him. It was kind of, they would kind of randomly win games just by fighting it out. And then you saw Liverpool winning 4-1, 3-1, 3-2, 2-0, but they were doing it in a way that was much more sustainable and more enjoyable to watch. And from there, I just knew that this Liverpool team were going to be something really dangerous and really fun to watch. But my gosh, they've like totally blown everyone out of the waters in terms of how good they are. My only concern is now that they finally have the Premier League, they have to figure out a way to keep this going and not let this slip up. They have to find ways to bring in more players in the summer transfer window, ship some guys out, and just keep the squad motivated. I think Klopp can do that, but it's all about, will he be given the resources and the funds to be able to get certain players just to keep the motivation and the competition growing in the squad?
Yeah, that's always now the thought. It's how long can we sustain this? Can this be a dynasty?
Yeah, I know. They were saying that this could be a dynasty, and I know it definitely has the makings of it, I would say.
Mm-hmm. And it's crazy that Klopp has kept this intensity and this drive in all the players for these past few seasons, despite everything that they've come across, all those, second place finishes, all those final cup losses or cup final losses, and just powering through all that and to get to where we are now. So it's now a whole different kind of scenario that they have to go through, and it won't be easy to sustain, obviously, because everyone's just going to be targeting them and going to be, going through all that. But I mean, they kind of set their own standards now. Like they literally set so many records this season. Like literally, we have like a list just right here. It's just Liverpool with the best start ever this season. 61 points after 21 games. That's insane.
Jeez.
That's only 2 points.
That's career
dropped.
Mode numbers. That's FIFA career mode numbers.
That's FIFA career mode if you play it on semi-pro or like amateur. it's crazy. And then they have the most points won in the past year over 38 matches. So
they didn't lose a home game for 2 seasons?
Yeah,
something
2
like
seasons.
That. It was crazy.
Yeah. And they also had the biggest lead at one point. They had a 25-point lead at one point of the season. And they had the most home wins in a row. So
and they won the league the fastest too with 7 games left to play.
Yes.
Incredible.
And there's still other records they can break this season, from winning the most home games in one season. So they can possibly win all 19 games at home.
Jeez.
And they're still on track to do that. And the record right now is 18 home wins. But, there's at this point, it's looking good. It's looking good. And then most victories in a season, they're not too far away. They're at 28 wins right now, and the record's 32. So that is, they're getting there. And then also most away wins in a season. So I believe the record is 16, which is pretty insane. But they're now at 12 wins. So 12 wins out of 15.
Wow.
And so they can possibly match that. Yeah. And then most points in a season. So they just need to get to the century mark, which is 100.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll break that record. And then also, finally, the last target they can break is winning by the biggest margin. So the biggest margin before was Man City in the 2017-2018 season by 19 points. And currently Liverpool are 23 points ahead of Man City as of right now. So as long as Liverpool keep the train going and also Man City remain somewhat inconsistent for the rest of the season too, then that record will for sure be broken. So there's a lot going into this Liverpool side. Like this is not only is a history for Liverpool finally winning after 30 years, but also just the way Liverpool won, just like the amount of just sheer class and just like pedigree like this team
Yep.
has.
And
They're literally setting all the records.
I know. You were listing them out, and I was just like, wow, they're probably going to break like every single record if possible. And I think it's also it's pretty crazy because, um, when Klopp was at Dortmund, there was the problem he had where a lot of his big name players were getting poached by Bayern Munich. I mean, obviously Mario Götze left before their or announced that he will be leaving before their Champions League final against Bayern Munich. Robert Lewandowski leaves on a free contract to Bayern Munich. And you had a couple other players that would just leave in and out because, Bayern Munich was, no matter how good Dortmund got, Bayern Munich was always the big boy. But now that Klopp is at Liverpool, I mean, sure, you have Manchester United, Arsenal, Chelsea, blah, blah, blah. But all those clubs are historic, and Liverpool is also very historic, very big club. So there's not really an incentive for a lot of Liverpool's big players to kind of jump ship to another Premier League club because they're essentially greater or at the same historic level. I mean, the only clubs I would even think or that could sway any of these players is maybe a Real Madrid or Barcelona. But if I was those players like a Mane, Salah, Van Dijk, Alisson, I mean, I don't really think I would want to leave Liverpool right now just because you are pretty much on this train for greatness. I mean, you could be challenging those Pep Guardiola teams with Lionel Messi, Xavi, and Iniesta, like that 2010, 2011, 2012 Barca teams. It could be on the breaking point of challenging those teams in terms of how great they are. But wow, I must say the way Klopp has cemented himself in terms of being one of the best managers in the world is incredible because for the longest time, it was always Jose and Pep. Those are the top two. And then Zidane kind of came in he kind of came in and shook it up a little bit. But man, Klopp, what he's done is Liverpool, I think has propelled him, to number one manager in Europe over Pep Guardiola, over Jose, over Zidane. The rebuilding job, everything he had to deal with, he had to do. For me, he's number one manager in Europe right now.
I agree. And it's full bias as a Liverpool fan, but I was just, I hope he doesn't leave.
Do you think he could?
I mean, I don't know where he'd want to go at this point. It's just like everything right here is just so good. Mm-hmm. Unless he wants to just leave on a high, but I don't see that happening. He just signed that new deal this past year to extend his time at Liverpool. So I feel like this could be, as a lot of people are saying, potentially a dynasty where if he could stay here for a long time, like a Sir Alex Ferguson or Arsene Wenger kind of situation, I'd be very welcome for that kind of idea. And just hopefully he can stay here as long as he can, because just everything he's done has just been in the right foot forward. And it's just, I don't see anyone else that can come in and really take over for that. And I think now it's not even a debate of, what's to come next, like what's after this. It's like we made it. I think it's more now just time to really just think about celebrating what we've done, and then we'll think about what's next later. But for now, it's just kind of celebrating the moment and everything this team has accomplished today, because it's been a lot of like work in the making. And also, before I forget, I'm going to thank the Chelsea players, Christian Pulisic and Willian, for scoring. Yes, Christian Pulisic, the man. I was like, all people. I was like, dude, he's making America proud.
Dude, and it's crazy because Klopp, he was actually under Klopp's wing at Dortmund when Klopp was still at Dortmund. He was one of the first managers he had at Dortmund. So it's pretty crazy that the student ends up helping out the master in a big way a couple years down the line.
And Chelsea always seems to be the team that
I know they always win
the title for some other team.
I know.
Like I just like watching this game, it just gave me just flashbacks to the Leicester game.
And they had to play Tottenham too, who were ironically in second place at the time, trying to challenge for first place Leicester. And what were Man City second place, challenging for trying to hold off or trying to close the gap a little bit. But I thought that was kind of ironic right there.
Yeah. And although Man City weren't as aggressive and getting like 9 yellow cards during this game, I think the writing was more on the wall, and they knew it was going to eventually happen. But it was somewhat graceful this fall. Like it was just kind of built up throughout the game too. It was like, man, this is the end for this is the last few minutes of City being champions. I was like, dang, I know I just went in.
And it's crazy because they ultimately what was their downfall this season was what is the thing that made them so potent for the 2 seasons they won it. I mean, their flair, their attacking football, the lack of I would say the lack of attention on the defensive end this season, all of that has caught up to them because injuries to Laporte, Mendy being in and out of the sides, no consistent back four, Ederson kind of being a little iffy and a little shaky at times. I mean, that's essentially what's cost them so many games is their defense has just been horrible. And for Man City, considering we still don't know whether their Champions League ban is going to be given in effect, like actually going to be given, or if it's going to be rescinded. I mean, Pep Guardiola's job future is kind of up in the air a little bit. So, I mean, City, for as much as we praised them for the past 2 seasons, they definitely have a lot of questions to answer. And I must say this for Chelsea, they actually look pretty scary and pretty good. And going into next year, especially if you add Ziyech and Timo Werner to that side, um, I don't know, man. Chelsea look like I don't think there could be title contenders next season, but Arlo White and I believe Graham Lasso were talking about this in the broadcast. You have a Chelsea side that are adding those 2 players and are looking much brighter and better than they did in the start of the season. Manchester United, if they can keep Paul Pogba, have Bruno Fernandes, Paul Pogba, Martial, Rashford, those young players, and looking to add players in the summer transfer window, you have Tottenham under Jose, he's always going to be a threat at some point. So they were basically saying that, watch out, there could be a legitimate title race next year. And I'm looking forward to it because as much as it's cool to see Liverpool kind of blow away, I think we all want to see, that back and forth, title race with 4 contenders, but that's just something to throw out there. Little fun scenario.
And that's what makes the Premier League so special is like in the past 8 years, I believe it was around 5 different title winners.
I know.
Unlike, some of the other bigger European leagues, it's maybe like
Bundesliga.
2 or just 1 in some cases in that same time frame.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what kind of makes the Premier League so special. And like you never even know. Maybe something crazy happens where like Leicester wins.
Yeah.
But I don't see that happening. I think Liverpool will still be a slight tier above the other teams depending on how the transfer window goes and things like that. But of course, that's a whole other discussion, a whole other episode on the pod. It's just a time to go off, just celebrate today because like literally it's I don't know how to take this in. How am I even going to work tomorrow, man? I'm just going to be celebrating.
Take PTO.
Just take PTO. It's like, what? It's like, what? It's like, is this emergency? It's like Liverpool won the title. It's like, what's that mean? It's like, it's like, trust me, this is a big moment in my life.
Man, it's honestly pretty crazy because I've known Tyler obviously for 4 years now, and when I first met him, I mean, Liverpool were not doing that good, and they were kind of just kind of like the walking meme, I would say, of the Premier League. People would always just bring up the Gerrard let the title slip meme, and it was just a constant barrage that Tyler had to deal with in terms of being a Liverpool supporter. And then, wow, it's just been such a turnaround since then. Yeah. It's pretty fascinating looking back at that time and considering how much of an improvement Liverpool have made throughout the years.
There's so many lows we had to go through. I mean, it's different kind of lows in that it was just so tantalizing to get so many opportunities to win something and then just it slips at the last minute. And, it's a lot different from, say, like another kind of side where maybe it'd be like a lead side where they are relegated. And, that's a whole different kind of like depression to go through. But in terms of this kind of depression with Liverpool, like that's kind of how it is. It's just, Liverpool gets close, but they just don't win any trophies. But then now it's just that's just changed. Now they're finally a trophy winning side. And it's just so weird to say that. And there's like going to be people that are going to be bandwagoning onto the team, people just wearing the jersey.
Now I'm not for it. I'm not for it.
That's going to be our team now. It's just,
oh man.
And
jeez,
that's crazy.
That's going to be crazy because we're so used to seeing random Chelsea fans and City fans and whatever fans. But yeah, it's crazy. You guys are going to be the bandwagon team now. Everybody's going to pick you in FIFA.
If they're not already doing that now, it's
Jeez.
it's surreal. I don't know how to really think about it. It's from me, I can't represent all Liverpool fans, obviously. I'm pretty sure there's some Liverpool fans going off now, just partying still with like everyone they know. Like I even saw on social media, like Robertson, Van Dijk, Chamberlain.
I know. I was going to say all the Liverpool squad, it seems like they all met up, which was nice.
Mhm.
Don't know how safe that was, but it was pretty cool that they were all able to celebrate the moment together, because it kind of gave me those Leicester vibes of just, all waiting behind the TV and just going crazy and, absolutely nuts when the final whistle blew. Even as a United fan, I was like, that was pretty cool. It put a smile on my face. That was pretty cool scenes to see.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. I was like, oh, they knew. They were preparing for it. And then
I know they had a couple beers going and everything. I'm like, yeah, they definitely knew what was going on.
And then they don't have their game till next week, so they can just party on. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're still at the train, obviously, because it's gonna be a big game next week to face City. But it's just for now, it's just a lot to celebrate.
I know. It was pretty cool, and it was a little concerning. I know on the broadcast they were saying that outside the Anfield Stadium there were so many Liverpool fans that just packed in, and just after the final whistle blew and they were confirmed champions, a lot of Liverpool fans in the area just kind of went to the stadium and were standing around blowing fireworks and cheering and everything. Obviously, there is still social distancing going on, but they were saying that. In Liverpool, obviously, Tyler and I have never been to Liverpool, but Tyler can probably speak about this more. But they were saying that at Liverpool, that the football club is kind of it's the heart of the city. It means so much to the fans there that it's so connected. Even during this pandemic and everything, you see Klopp and the players always showing affection to the fans and always clapping to them and always thanking them for the support. So they said that. For them, it definitely means more than just a football club. It's definitely a way of life there for the Liverpool supporters. So, obviously, I want everyone to stay safe, but they have to enjoy the moment when it comes, because obviously they've waited 30 years for this, so it doesn't come around every time in their lifetime. So, enjoy it where you can.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, to kind of go on from what Yash is kind of mentioning, but yeah, it's going to be a time where everyone wear your masks despite everything. I already saw some videos of what Liverpool looks like right now. It's just like a mosh pit. Which
Dude,
is
imagine if you're an
safe.
Everton fan right now.
If you're an Everton fan, I mean, I already seen some on Twitter just be like, all right, I'm done.
Yeah, when is it safe to leave the house?
It's probably next year, or I guess when this is over. But right now, for Liverpool, I know like the city of Liverpool, it's basically like a lifestyle, just football and the club. It's something that people around here, and at least where we live in Georgia, but like we're not going to be able to kind of really connect with what that really means and like how much this really means to the people of the city.
Mm-hmm.
But for them, I'm pretty sure it's something where it can like literally change lives. It can literally change like the perspective of like the people there in terms of just positivity and just getting through these kind of tough times. And it sounds a little over dramatic, but I think that football really does mean this much to some people, and not even some, but just like a lot of people. So like seeing this, it could literally get people going into just a whole different kind of emotion and just really kind of feel.
I agree. And I think, because I saw a bunch of little kids, like parents with their little children, in the crowd at outside Anfield. And I was just thinking like, wow, these kids are literally going to grow up thinking that Liverpool can achieve and do anything, because they're literally watching them get Champions League, Premier League titles, compared to maybe their parents who grew up basically dreading the worst, because they're like, wow, every time we seem to be getting somewhere, something bad happens. But it's like you said, it's going to be a total shift of mentality and, optimism, because now they are growing up in an era. I would say Manchester United, if you were a Manchester United fan 20 years ago, you grew up in an era where you thought anything was possible. And now if you're a child rooting, cheering for Manchester United, your views have shifted a little bit because obviously you're not seeing it on the field. So it's definitely going to be really cool to see the optimism and stuff that these Liverpool fans kind of deserve after all these years of suffering.
After all these years of suffering,
not winning the title, obviously.
If you were to equate this to, I guess, something more close to home, it's kind of like being an Atlanta Falcon and UGA fan.
Yes.
In the past few decades, it's just nothing but disappointment.
Misery.
It's just misery. It's
and
just
I would
getting
say,
close.
And you bring that up, and I think like when Atlanta United finally won the MLS Cup, it was the whole city of Atlanta was so relieved because it was a big weight lifted off the shoulder of Atlanta, because for the longest time Atlanta went on basically a title drought where they haven't won. Any Atlanta professional franchise hasn't won a actual title since 96 when the Braves won it. So it was literally from 96 to 2018, that gap. And then Atlanta United finally won the MLS Cup. So sort of equivalent to Liverpool, where it's, when you have a team that finally wins something, it means so much to the city and to the people.
Mm-hmm. It's a little different for Atlanta since we have multiple sports teams, but even then it's like, that's, I guess, the closest we would have in kind of just the relief for the people and just lifting that curse, that Atlanta curse, that kind of burden on their shoulders that, will this team be the team to, finally free Atlanta of that? And for Liverpool now, this is finally that team that's freed Liverpool club from finally getting over that hump of winning a title. And now hopefully they don't have as much on their shoulders to burden as they go through the rest of, the next few years, and they keep playing as freely as they have this season. And it's really going to be interesting to see how they are now. It's just, it's going to be a whole different kind of perspective on Liverpool now, because, it's always been the story of, is this year finally the year? Is this finally when they do it? And then now it's like, that's come to an end. So now it's just a whole new story. It's like, where do we go from here? We don't know.
only up at this point.
Only up. Or just plateau at where we're at, and just which is still fine with me, because basically it's just like we're winning everything. So, I mean, man, it's a little. I don't even know what to think about it. It's just I'm not prepared for this kind of moment.
Very off the cuff.
Yeah.
It's crazy because I know we keep going back at it, but I felt like for the longest time this whole season, we all kind of pretty much, if you're any Premier League fan, you kind of accepted it. I believe by October or November that Liverpool were going to win this title because they were just so much better than everyone else. And they had such a big lead over everyone. But, we kept saying it, but now that it's finally here, it's just, what Tyler said, even as not even a supporter of the club, it's just like, wow, they actually did it. And it's actually real. Like, it's now, it's no formality, it actually happened. It's in the record books. You can't take that away. So, and especially given that it was a pandemic and everyone was talking about, there could be cancellation of the league. This title doesn't really mean anything. Everyone had to take a break. Like, you can't really give this to Liverpool. No, they actually did it. It's in the record books. No asterisk or anything. They won it in the middle of a pandemic. So congrats to Liverpool.
Thank you, Yash. There you go. And also from, I guess, us too, this is congrats to all Liverpool for everything that is accomplished, from the players, the staff, and of course the fans now, like the 12th man, as you like to say. This is the time to really just soak it all in, just kind of enjoy the moment. And it's just, I'm just overwhelmed. I'm just like, this is unbelievable.
It's good feels. It's good feels. But I must ask before we send off, how are you celebrating, Tyler? How will we be celebrating tonight? And also, how will you be celebrating this weekend to capture this glorious moment in Liverpool history?
I don't have anything big planned, if I'm being completely honest. But, and also being real in the real world right now, I still have to work. I still got some deadlines I got to meet. But maybe I'll wear I'll wear those jerseys to work. Work from home, obviously, but maybe that'll be at least a little small way I can celebrate. But hopefully I can get some friends going and we can celebrate virtually, or do something big, or plan something big to celebrate all this. But we'll see, because it's like, this is not something that we were all planning for ahead of time. This is something that's like we knew it was eventually coming. It's like, oh, it happened. It's like, oh, here we go.
Yes. Sweet. I'm definitely going to be in my bed crying to sleep, but that is me. I don't know if anyone else wants to join me. If you are any Manchester United fans or any other Big Six club fans, definitely there's a lot of tears left to cry in this room. But it's definitely been, I know it's not the end of the season, but it's definitely been a really cool season to watch. I think we can all say Liverpool, I will say this, Liverpool definitely have deserved it from day one. They've blown everyone out of the water. I mean, they've been fantastic with their resilience and the match, the match winning, the play of their game. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, they were the best team in England this season. Best team by far. Not even close.
You've been giving Liverpool so many songs and praises, like more, at least cohesive praise than I have been saying the past like 40 minutes. But, thank you, Yash, also to, kind of go through this, as Yash mentioned. And, although we're big rivals in terms of the teams we support and the clubs we support, at least this is like one of those moments where you got to respect your rival for everything that's going on, and like that's how we do. So as mad props.
Yeah. But like we said, we had a bit of an outline, but it kind of got thrown out the window. We're hopefully going to be able to talk about some of those things on next week's podcast. Obviously with this news, this definitely trumped over anything we were planning on talking about. But yeah, that kind of wraps up season 3, episode 78 for us. I know it was a bit off the cuff on our end. We definitely, honestly, if you checked our outline, literally had nothing that we talked about written on this outline. It was absolutely off the cuff, like just talking about pure emotion. And honestly, that's why we do it. That's why we have the podcast, because that is soccer for us. Just pure emotion. I honestly wish there was fans in this game. It would have made it so much more cooler, but you had to work with the times we have. But we played off the emotion of the moment. I know Tyler was super happy, and I definitely wanted to showcase that out to you guys. Tyler's a huge, passionate Liverpool fan, been one for years. So kudos to Liverpool, and thank you guys so much for listening. Please rate, comment, subscribe. Tell us what you like, what you don't like. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Premier Pod. Also follow us on our YouTube page at The Premier Pod. We want to hear what you guys have to say. And yeah, thank you guys so much. Peace.
To all the Liverpool fans, you'll never walk alone. Peace.